together. Bicycle kick. It's on. England scores. England scores. And it's Jude Bellingham. Ties it up in the 90th. There is life in England. Rockcliffe. Right, headed on goal. It looks like another one. England scores. Harry Kane in the 91st minute of extra time.
England 2, Slovakia 1. And look, it was a brilliant game, but we are quite exhausted after watching that. England, dare I say it, didn't deserve to go through at all. And Slovakia, well, they were very unlucky not to go through. So, Reese, this is going to be a very tired review, but England scraped past that game. They didn't look at it in the first half. What did you make of it?
I thought it was passive. I thought it was boring. I thought it was having possession for possession's sake, especially that first half. I'm getting sick to death under Southgate of watching us play, and we're going side to side. We're going backwards. Like Declan Rice, who I thought had a decent enough game, didn't shine. But then again, in tonight's game, who actually did shine? I'd say no one did, to be perfectly honest. Declan Rice is a player that I look for in the centre of the park, where you're playing with someone as inexperienced with respect to Kobe Mainoo, but is inexperienced in tournament football. I'd be looking at someone like Declan Rice. I thought on the ball, he was sort of conservative, and that's the best way I put it. There weren't risks. You watch him when he plays for Arsenal, and when he was at West Ham, and he makes those long driving runs. He takes risks. But the whole team was summed up by Declan Rice's individual performance in the fact it was safe.
Yeah, and I agree. It was a very underwhelming game. And the thing is that with the talent that we have at our disposal, I don't understand why Gareth Southgate is lining up the way he does. You know, like, it's such counterintuitive negative football, and we've just won a game 2-1. You know, like any other team who's won a game, who have advanced into the quarterfinals, they would be happy. But I reckon a massive inquest needs to be had after that game, because the way we played in the first half simply wasn't on. And is it fair to say that because Jude Bellingham, he scored the opening goal, is it fair to say that that was a bit of luck?
I think it perfectly is fine to say that. I think this whole result is a massive slice of fortune. The problem is any other team in our scenario, in the fact that they won the group and they're through to the quarterfinal, any other nation right now would be buzzing. You'd have that air of excitement. You'd think this is our chance. The problem is whenever you watch England, especially under Gareth Southgate, we haven't got started yet. Our tournament hasn't come alive. We haven't looked convincing in any game. And even the defending for the goal tonight was absolutely horrendous. There was an angle where it showed it sort of from Pickford's point of view. And I can't understand why Kyle Walker is running out towards the right back position. I know it's controversial, and perhaps you can say that's the benefit of hindsight, perhaps. But surely it's these individual mistakes that we're so used to making now. Even like Jude Bellingham was relatively quiet. I know he scored a fantastic goal, and big players come in the big moments, don't they? Of course they do. But overall, it's so disappointing because we haven't gotten started yet.
Yeah, and I agree. And look, I'll save my rant for a little later on in the show because I don't want to get it out of my system too early on. But let's talk about Harry Kane's header as well, because Harry Kane, he was fairly invisible throughout the entire game. But that's the type of player that he is. He's the type of player that will be in important spaces, will get onto the end of balls. A classic Harry Kane goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a poacher's goal. It was a finisher's goal. It was a striker's goal. And that's exactly what Harry Kane offers you. He isn't the sort of striker to go stretch in the back four and to go muddle up all the centre halves and to do that. He's a finisher. And the problem is, and he's a controversial figure at the moment, Harry Kane, because you look at when Ivan Toney came on and the difference in which that he made, probably should have scored towards the end of the game, Ivan Toney as well. I thought it's quite unfortunate with a strike that just went over the bar. But Ivan Toney holding the ball up, winning a foul, getting physical with the centre-back, that's exactly what we need from Harry Kane. And I'm not advocating for Kane to be dropped. I think if you have any chance of doing anything special in this tournament, then Kane, for me, is a sure starter. You look at his record for England, and it's simply fantastic. The problem is that the tactics from Steve Holland and Gareth Southgate are so far off what we should be playing. It's comical.
Yeah, but like, why is he setting up like that? Again, like we're England, and this is where like I start to get a little passive aggressive when talking about my country because I don't believe in the way we play. And at the moment, and I was saying this to somebody I was watching the game with, I said to him that I don't mind if we get knocked out simply because like we need to have that kind of moment under Southgate. He'll get sacked afterwards and then we hire a better manager. But, like he is such an underwhelming manager. We arguably have one of the best midfielders in the world at the moment. Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, who is absolutely class. Some brilliant players going forward as well, including Phil Foden, who's currently being played out on the wing, which is a position that he does not need to be in. And when you look at some of the tactical or the way that Gareth Southgate is set up tactically, you can't help but simply be baffled by it as well. The fact he started Kieran Trippier as well. Now, Kieran Trippier, during the week, he wasn't injury doubt. He has picked up a couple of knocks during training as well. And there's almost no point of playing a footballer whose last, and I'm talking about before this tournament, whose last competitive football was all the way back in February. Like he's looked way off at this tournament, Kieran Trippier has. Yeah, Gareth Southgate, he's being loyal by sticking to Kieran Trippier, and I simply don't understand that. That is something that absolutely baffles me. Can you put your head around, Reese, Gareth Southgate's kind of like team sheets at the moment?
I really can't. I've had this rant so many times before, and we're going to have it, I think, every time Gareth Southgate names an 11. Left back for me is a position in which, again, we're rich with options within our England depth. You look at our normal starter in Luke Shaw, okay, he's injured, and for some reasons has been picked in the England squad, despite the fact he won't even be fit for the quarter-final. And if he is, he's not going to start, is he? He hasn't played any competitive football for what feels like months. And you look at the left-backs that we haven't taken to this tournament. I say it every time, but Leif Davis at Ipswich has had a phenomenal season. Mitchell at Palace has been absolutely fantastic. And to only include one left-back, that's not even
Ben Chilwell.
ready to go. Ben Chilwell was another one. Fantastic shout. Why? I can't get my head around it. And then you look at other positions. You look at Foden on the left wing. He's not going to do anything. It doesn't matter how many times you put Foden on that left wing. It doesn't matter who the opposition is. He will go invisible. His best position on the football pitch is in a number 10, exactly where he plays at Manchester City, and hence why Pep Guardiola gets the best out of him there. You look at Jude Bellingham, and this is perhaps not more of a straightforward one, but I'd put Bellingham next to Declan Rice. I think if you gave him that box-to-box option, that'd be fantastic. It would allow you to put Foden in the number 10 and have some real engine in midfield. But for whatever reason, Southgate doesn't seem to want to do this. And then tonight as well, we have an enforced change for the quarter-final, aren't we, with Mark Gahey picking up a yellow card.
Yeah, and 15 players he played for us in the last World Cup didn't get picked for this European Championships, which, again, is absolutely baffling. Like, I think a little bit of loyalty needs to be had towards the players who took you to the last tournament and who took you so far in the last tournament as well. And look, I know we're doing this show in a kind of topsy-turvy way. Emotions are playing a big part of this as well. But let's have a look at the team sheets that we or the players that Gareth Southgate fielded today. They have it as a 4-2-3-1 with Harry Kane up front, Jude Bellingham, of course, playing the number 10, Bukayo Saka and Foden on the wing, Kobbie Mainoo and Declan Rice in midfield with Stones and Mark Guehi as centre-backs, Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier as wing-backs, and Jordan Pickford in goal. Now, the one position that I want to highlight there is Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo has been absolutely brilliant for Manchester United this season. Do you reckon it was a risk for Gareth Southgate to play him? Because to be honest, this is arguably the game that he should maybe be playing the likes of Kobbie Mainoo.
Yeah, I've been a big advocate for Mainoo to start, and I thought at times, especially in that first half, he showed why he should be starting. The dart and run he had into the box to draw the foul was fantastic, and that's exactly what we've been missing. I can hear the comments screaming at me now saying, well, how do you fit Trent Alexander-Arnold into this England team? And the simple answer is, to me, that you don't. I don't think Trent is a central midfielder in any stretch of the imagination. He's not tenacious enough. He's not a tackler. His best attribute is his passing. Then you look at your other options in midfield. You've got Wharton, of course, who is very raw. Let's not forget, first half of the season, he was playing at championship level. I mean that with no disrespect, but it's a massive leap up in a short amount of time. So surely Bellingham has got to be a number one choice. The problem is now, next to Declan Rice, the problem is now is that I know we've got a favourable side of the draw, but right now we're facing Switzerland, aren't we, in the next round? With respect to Slovakia, we didn't get started tonight. We struggled tonight. I can't see us getting past Switzerland. And even if we do, you look at the options that we've got in a semi-final, most likely it's going to be Austria, isn't it? If we get there. They've looked fantastic under Ragnick in this tournament. I just can't see how we're going to progress. We don't finish teams off. We're not clinical enough. We're too passive. And it always takes a goal from the opposition to wake us up. You can't win a tournament starting on the back foot.
I agree. And, if we play Switzerland, I can guarantee that Switzerland are absolutely going to dominate us. And somebody, I think Leach, said this on the Discord, that they are a better team than us at the moment. On paper, they aren't. But if you see that, like the way that they played last time out, then surely they're going to play us off the field if they could do that to an Italian team who are painfully similar to where we are at the moment. And, it is frustrating. And there isn't much more that can be said because, it would simply be going round in circles. Every time we've recorded a video, we brought up the same point about England, the same point about the way that Gareth Southgate has played his football. And the one thing that I can ask you that I don't think I did ask you last time was when England do play Switzerland in the quarterfinals, can Gareth Southgate learn from his lessons, or do you reckon it's a little too late?
It's far too little too late. He's shown from the lineup tonight. He's shown throughout the last few important games for England. I mentioned it before, but look back to the Croatia game in 2018 in the World Cup. Look at the Italian final last time out in the Euros. Look at the mistakes we're making in the group stages. Look at the lineup tonight. Look at the tactics tonight. There's no belief in me that Southgate's ever going to change. And the problem is that you look at the tournament as a whole, France, Germany, Portugal, and Spain are all on the other side of the draw. Our luck in that way, is so on our side right now that we simply must reach the semi-final as a minimum. You look at the teams that we're going to be facing, obviously, quarter-final with Switzerland. You'd expect us on paper to be beating Switzerland. Realistically, I don't think we will be, which is a sentence I didn't think I'd ever be saying as an England fan. Semi-final, you think, right, most probably going to be Austria. If you had to put a guess, that would be Austria. Again, England should be beating Austria, but look at how well they've looked and look at how awful we've looked. We've got such an opportunity to do something within this squad. We've got such a balanced squad in terms of defence and attack. The players on our bench that can come on and really make a difference. But one player I feel sorry for, to get your opinion on quickly, is Adam Wharton. What's the point in taking him if you're not going to give him some minutes?
I mean, same as Theo Walcott, when Theo Walcott was taken to the World Cup in 2006. Just experience for him, really. But he is a player who I would give a go. He's young, enthusiastic. And I'm not saying that the other players on the field aren't enthusiastic, because I very much think it is Southgate's fault and not their fault. But why not give him a game? Why not give him a go? I do believe, though, that today it wouldn't have really been the right game to really give Wharton a go. Maybe when we were 2-1 up, but with the atmosphere in the stadium when we were behind, with how toxic it was when we were behind, I think there are youngsters who probably would have crumpled under the pressure, especially given how spicy it was in the stadium. But yeah, I don't understand what you're saying. There are so many players though, young players, more senior players, they've been brought up who haven't even been given the opportunity to play, to the point where, like, I do wonder why they bought them, like why Southgate bought them. Like Anthony Gordon, like he should have been brought on today. He should have been brought on way earlier today, because Bukayo Saka is a player who I do highly rate. But again, he was having quite a quiet game today, where he was obviously trying. He did cut inside quite a bit, but he was struggling. Joe Gomez as well. Like, Joe Gomez could have filled in at left back, maybe. I know traditionally when he is played as a full back, he has played at right back for Liverpool, but he could potentially have played as well. And the one thing that does baffle me, and look, I do understand why Southgate needed to bring another wing back with him, another full back with him, but Luke Shaw as well. If he wasn't fit, then why not risk bringing, say, a Leif Davis? And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Ipswich fan, or maybe like a more inexperienced right back. I think it's right back anyway, who plays in the Premier League but deserves to go up anyway. It's like simple things like that simply baffle me. And the weird thing is that Southgate is loyal. He is loyal to a fault. But he's also not loyal, because he should have brought up all of those players who got him so far in the last World Cup. He should have done that. That was the one big mistake that he committed. And we already mentioned Ben Chilwell, how I think he should have brought up Ben Chilwell with him. But, like, it's absolutely baffling. And I think we're lucky. I think we're so lucky to go through. I don't know that it's very much a no shit statement, like no shit Sherlock, but we were so lucky to go through. And had we have lost today, the inquiry into why we got knocked out against Slovakia would have been absolutely huge. I don't think Southgate would have been able to come back to England. He has to be praying at the moment, praying his lucky stars that didn't happen, because his head would have been on the block. Think of like David Beckham when England got knocked out of a tournament in 2002, was it? And how he was absolutely chastised by the press. That would have been Southgate had we have lost today. He's so lucky just to kind of like not have that kind of reaction. And again, like, I'm going around in circles because I am ranting quite a bit, especially due to how absolutely horrific that performance was. But anything else to add to my ramblings, Reese? The ramblings of a madman?
The only thing I'm going to say is that we need to rein the changes. The changes have to happen in the game against Switzerland. They're a team that are well organised. They're well drilled. They've looked fantastic so far this tournament. A great win over Italy to get them to this stage. We have to rein the changes. I don't know what changes you'd be looking at making, but I'll be putting Joe Gomez at left back simply because I don't like Kieran Trippier at left back. I'll be bringing Bellingham alongside Rice. I'll be putting Foden into the 10, and I'll be starting Palmer and Eze either side. Controversially, Harry Kane does start for me simply because I think this is tournament football, this is knockout football, and he's probably not going to get the praise he deserves for the winning goal tonight. He still had to be in the right position at the right time. He still had to make the run to actually be there as well, and that's exactly what you need your number 9 to be doing. If we line up with that same lineup against Switzerland, with the same tactics, with the same ideologies, with everything like that, we may as well not enter the dressing room in this Asian, because Switzerland will pick us off. Austria would pick us off. We are the most boring team in this tournament, full stop. The likes of Georgia have been absolutely phenomenal. They were a pleasure to watch, and they were 1-0 up against Spain as well last time I checked. They've been a fantastic team to watch this tournament. They've been doing exactly what we haven't been doing. Yes, they sit behind the ball, but what does their number 9 do? What does their striker do? He bullies the centre half. So when it's hoofed to him, he wins a foul. They can break from it. They have runners. And exactly what this England team is missing, the runners of Harry Kane. Harry Kane being able to bully a centre half, not drop him back. It's simple to me now. If we don't get to the final of this tournament, it's a disgrace. And I know it's a massive statement, but it has to be. Because look at the teams we're going to be facing, and England's side should not be stuttering as much as we are in this tournament. We were fortunate with the group and how we got through, and the teams in which we faced. We've been extremely lucky with the teams we're going to be up against if we continue to the final of this tournament. If we do not get to the final of this Euros campaign, Gareth Southgate should go. In fact, I don't believe in sacking a manager mid-tournament. I think it disrupts momentum. I think it upsets the camp. But if I'm the FA right now, I'm sacking Gareth Southgate tonight. That performance against Slovakia is a joke.
And look, I mean, there is something to say that we are very effective defensively, but like it's the way we go forward as well. And here are some tactics, touch a map of how the players have been playing. Our attacking players have been playing recently in the Euros. And if you look at the touch maps from the likes of Bukayo Saka and Jude Bellingham, look at how little touches they have had in the box, especially Phil Foden as well. A lot of their touches actually come more or less in the centre of the park or right outside the halfway line. And look, when looking at that, it is a very damning indictment in regards to how poor we have been attacking wise. We have been absolutely abysmal. No player, like there's literally been no service into Harry Kane in the box, which is why when people do say we should drop Harry Kane, I simply have to disagree with them, because if you look at this touch map right here, you have a greater insight into how little service he gets into the box. And even the best player in the world, if they simply get no service, there's little that they can do really. And Harry Kane, he is a player who, once he has that one opportunity, and you see that with all of the best players in the world, Robert Lewandowski when he was in his prime, Cristiano Ronaldo, they will convert those chances. And Harry Kane is that player. So, yeah, I mean, I don't understand why we would, I simply think about dropping him at all. But look, I have the controversial opinion that regardless of who you play out on the wing, whether it's Anthony Gordon or Phil Foden, the players aren't going to be able to get a tune out of themselves simply because of Southgate's tactics. Now, do you agree with that, or do you reckon, yes, different players could probably get or do something different, and it is the individual performances from the likes of Phil Foden that is affecting England?
Well, I know Saka's been he's been fantastic. I'm not going to sit here and criticize Bukayo Saka too much, but too many times tonight he's too weak. He weren't beating his man. He was stuttering. He was turning backwards. I think a different player there, perhaps an Eze, would take a man on. Maybe a Bowen would try to take a man on, would be more direct. I think a lot of what we're doing is down to Southgate. I think a lot of it is tactics, but I'd love to see a front four, if you like, of Eze on the right, Foden in the 10, Palmer on the left, and Kane up front without a license. You just say to them, go and just put your mark on the game. There's no leash. The problem is that Southgate plays with a handbrake on. Think back to any game in the group stage. Think back to any game under Southgate. How many times do you see Bellingham, Rice, Foden, Trent at club level? How many times do you see those players hoof the ball upfield to no one? They don't do it. Yet in an England shirt, they do. And what's the one difference? It's the manager. It's Southgate. It's Holland. These management team and these coaches are simply not good enough. If we put our team out there, me and you, if we constructed the team right now, that team will probably go on to beat Switzerland because you've got a little bit of flair in there. You've got a little bit of dynamic. Teams aren't stupid in this tournament. Teams know that Foden's going to be ineffective on that left-hand side. Teams know to attack us down that side because we are weak there. We've got a right foot player playing at left back. And perhaps I'm a little bit old school, but I detest that. How many times again was Kieran Trippier turning backwards because he's not comfortable on his left foot? And I'm not saying Joe Gomez is got a wand of a left foot, but I'll say give him a chance there. At the end of the day, if we went into this tournament with a different mindset, if Southgate went into this tournament with a mindset of let's give the younger players a go, let's give Wharton some minutes, let's give a Mitchell or a Davis at left back, let's give them some minutes, and really just went in terms of youth, I think a lot more fans, including ourselves, would be more patient. The problem is that this team on paper is too good to be crashing out at the round of 16, to be crashing out at the quarterfinals. This team should be making finals of any tournament as a minimum. If you're telling me that Pep Guardiola is a random great manager's name, Pep Guardiola, if he came into this England squad right here, right now, are you telling me we play how we did against Slovakia under him? Of course we don't. We'd look like a totally different team because we would be coached, we would be disciplined. And my last little point about the game tonight was, I've seen a lot of it online and controversially about the way that Slovakia played, and they were going around for fouls and they were trying to con yellow cards and whatnot. That's exactly what they had to do in that game. And the only person really at fault for that is the referee. If you're a smaller club or a smaller nation coming up against much bigger and better opponents, these are little things in which you have to do. And it comes down to us again, not being disciplined enough to expect it happening, not having the foresight to go, they might be trying to win these sort of petty fouls, get us on yellow cards. I mean, we had 3 players on bookings within 17 minutes. I'm not saying every yellow card was deserved, but we need to be more street smart. We need to go back to basics. This is football 101. Let's get our flair players out there just to express themselves on a football pitch. Let's get Ivan Toney and Harry Kane up front together. That partnership would be insane. Let's take a risk. Let's say, never going to happen, by the way. I'm really on a rant now. Let's say on Saturday against Switzerland, Southgate lines up in a 4-4-2 diamond formation and puts Toney and Kane up front, but sticks to that all game, sticks that system all game, and we crash out. Fair enough. We tried it. We tried something different, and it didn't work. The problem is that we're going to stick to this same old boring system with Kane playing central midfield with Bukayo Saka at left back for some reason. And it's not going to work. And this is where the frustration grows, because we can all see it a mile off. Every England fan and their dog predicted exactly how the game was going to go tonight. Slovakia nick a goal. Great goal, by the way. Really, really good movement. And we looked toothless. We looked blunt. We looked awful. And it took a moment of magic from a younger player to get us back in the game. And you can't rely on these moments in tournaments. You've got to be dominating games. The players in which we have are too good to be sitting 11 men behind the ball.
Yeah, and I agree. And one final bit of statistics right here, and you can still see my head popping at the screen right there. But here is a shot map. Yeah, I am going to upgrade the way we are streaming. Don't worry about that. But here is all the non-penalty shots against England so far in Euro 2024. That is discounting our last game today against Slovakia. We've had a total of 26 shots. And again, that was before our game today against Slovakia. 15 on the right foot, 8 on the left. I don't know how that is useful. 3 headers, 2 of them by Harry Kane, actually. And our total XG per shot is 0.04%. So, yeah, that is, again, a damning indictment in regards to what you just said, Reese. And it kind of backs it up as well. Finally, before we do go off the air, England v Switzerland, that will be next Saturday. How are you feeling about that? And are you confident or are you nervous?
I'm nervous because I know exactly how we're going to line up. We can guess the 11. I know it's going to be a little bit of debate about who starts at centre half, with Gay picking up that yellow card. Personally, for me, it will be Lewis Dunk if you play Joe Gomez left back. If you start Trippier at left back, then it's got to be Joe Gomez in that centre half. The problem is that anyone with half an ounce of common sense can predict exactly how this game is going to go. The only slight positive that might work in our favour is the fact that I can't see Switzerland sitting back behind the ball. I think they're going to come at us, and perhaps that plays into our favour. Perhaps we're going to play better against a side that actually wants to play football. Because it will isolate like Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden, who are going to be starting out wide. Of course they are. They can get more opportunities one-on-one with their man, and that's exactly where those players start to strive and start to get into their own sort of element. The problem is that we all know how this is going to go, and I can't get myself excited for England anymore. It was right up to national anthem. I had it on my phone at work. I wasn't excited for the game. It was only when you get the goosebumps from the anthem that the occasion sort of hits you, and that really sets the mood for the whole tournament. It's been dull, it's been boring, it's been predictable. And really for Saturday's game, I'll be watching it, but I won't have much excitement. I won't have much ambition for the game because, as I've said before, it's almost scripted. It's almost like an EA FIFA game where you know exactly what's going to happen, and I can't get excited for that.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on right there. And look, we can't play any worse than we did today. I reckon Southgate will hopefully have learned something, that he can't carry on playing the absolute naive football that he has done. But I'm afraid that is it for this evening. We will be back next week for an analysis of England versus Switzerland. I'm not too sure whether or not I'm looking forward to it, but if we win, then sure. Yes. we're recording a live reaction to England. But anyway, we do the Football League Weekly podcast, which is a podcast on Over the Bar's YouTube channel. Don't forget to go and watch it. We will be starting that up again once the Football League season starts. And of course, we are on Glory Hunters, so go and support the project. Watch all of the other videos on this channel, and of course jump into the Discord if you want to join us for some watch-alongs as well. And Over the Bar as well, you can find us at Over the Bar, Reese and I at Over the Bar, for more videos as well and exclusive content too. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you all next week.